Well, let me start off with this, guys. Truthfully, I'm a craftsman. I'm a barber craftsman, professional barber. I did a 5 year apprenticeship program, and had owned a couple shops, a few shops actually. Um, and I'm gonna tell you honestly, guys, this field, this is a craft, it's a field. What we're talking about, what you're hearing in this video, is from a client perspective. These are from clients' perspective, and it's all right. They have the right to vent, say what they want to say, but I want to come and give a barber perspective. I'm a professional barber, been licensed since 2005 in the state of Washington, Texas. Um, this is my craft. It's not a game for me. I'm not. I don't see it as a hustle. It's a profession. And like one of the guys in his video said, 10,000 hours. I watched this previously. I'm just reacting to it now. 10,000 hours is a standard for a master barber. You know what I'm trying to say. Um, that's a person. 10,000 hours is get your quality skills up, and another 2,500 as far as management and leadership. So it's about I would say a good 12,000 hours to get everything to open up to be able to really go out there and sustain yourself, the business model, and serve a community as a barber and as a barber owner. So there's levels to this that a lot of people don't understand. So I'm gonna clear up some things in this video from a barber perspective. I'm not necessarily trying to beat down anyone. I'm just gonna give it a barber perspective and and let you understand both sides. You got the client perspective. Now you're gonna hear the barber's perspective. So without further ado, let's get into this video, this reaction. All right.
Job fell off this damn bad. You got reports talking about the barber industry is pretty much falling apart. Businesses are closing left and right. And people are pointing the finger at the prices of the barbershops. But I can list to you a whole bunch of different reasons. For starters, barbers don't even care about the craft no more. It's a very small majority of them that actually care about what they're doing. The other half are just trying to get as many heads in a day. And there's nothing wrong with getting your hustle. You're doing it for a reason to make money. But at the same time, take pride in that too. Two, the services. There should be no reason in hell that I schedule an appointment and I'm waiting on you. It's too inconsistent now. That's with the cuts, the communication. And then to top it off, I don't mind talking and all that. Like, it's a safe space, but it's not a comedy show.
Barbers are crying right now, man, because business is starting to slow down, man.
Okay, let's start with that first section, the first client. What he was indicating is three sectors as far as professionalism, barbering, professional barbering, the professional side of barbering, the cutting, and the scheduling. That's all. This is all dealing with the professional identity and the barbershop. There's several separations. You can blame it on the barbershop or you can blame it on the individual barber. And they don't take the craft personally. All right, in this craft, there's over a million of us that's really take this craft sincerely in the United States. Still to this day, there's millions of barbers, but there's over a million of us that's really a craftsman. You know, there's a lot of people working in shops or don't have license or working on their fake licenses in the United States. So this is the thing you got to negotiate. Most clients go in there, most customers go in there and get a haircut. They're not asking for a license. Even if you have a license up there on the wall, that doesn't really certify that that's a true license. It could be a fake license. That's part of the industry, like fake money. You got counterfeit money. You get counterfeit licensing in many professions. I'm not saying I'm just talking about barbering, my profession. So another point is the hours and the time that he's talked about. Yes, there's a lot of young barbers in this field, and a lot of people see this field as just as a hustle, not as a craft. So that's where you got to separate to identify. You got to identify that line of separation between professional barbers versus just hustlers, people that's in here just have ability to cut hair, and they approach it as hustle. You got licensed people that's uh, approach the barber industry as a hustle, and that's just everywhere. You have that, and we recognize them. We just understand they're here today and gone tomorrow, or some struggling and stay in the field up and down, but they're hustlers, and that's okay. We don't. I don't pretty much accept it, but everybody got to make a living, as long as they do give a quality haircut and they there for the client. But the struggle is on them and them to prove themselves, not us craftsmen to prove to them. We're gonna be here to serve the community regardless. You know, a lot of hustlers they don't give free haircuts. Professionals, craftsmen, we give free haircuts for certain reasons. So this is a different sector. That's the professionalism between a hustle. So as a customer, you don't identify that. You just come in and get a haircut. So you don't know who you're talking about. You got to build a relationship. You got to communicate to that barber to find out who they are, if that's what you're really trying to do. But most times, people just go in the barbershop and get a haircut. So you walk out with the things in your head and ideas, but you're not talking to the professional barber. You don't ask, how many times have you seen a client go ask them, hey, are you a licensed barber? Yes, okay. How long have you been cutting hair? Are you a professional barber, or are you just a business cutting hair? You like cutting hair? And there's a difference. But it seems kind of rude, but if you really want to know about this, you'll go research the barber. You go to a doctor or dentist. You're going to research them to find out how good they are. You're going to talk to people, find out. So, but most people don't do that in the field of barber because they don't see our field as a profession. They see it as a hustle. No, barbers are professionals. There's over a million of us out here across the American landscape that are professionals. You don't know, but we're here. We're still here. So that's where you have to do your due diligence, your research, and not leave it on us because of your personal experiences. I respect your personal experiences, but that's part of the things you got to go through. Without further ado, that's the first section I want to deal with that one client that was speaking. Okay, so now I hope I identify professional barbers versus hustlers and barbers that just cut hair from money and they're not professional. You know, that's a difference. That's two different. One's for craftsmen, professional barbers. We serve the community. We're here to keep our craft up, to keep the field alive and thriving. We're alive and thriving. You got to identify us. Then you got the majority of ones out there, they're hustlers. They went to school, got their barber license, or they don't have a barber license. You got all of that kind of rigmarole out there in the field too. So you got to understand that. That's a difference. Basically, you got A students as craftsmen, A, B students as craftsmen, and you got C, D, F students that's out here hustling, trying to get money.
The internet and TikTok got a lot of these barbers thinking, bro, that they could really charge, bro, $50, bro, $60, $100 a head. Yeah, man, that's what TikTok did, man, to the barbers, bro. Had these people thinking, man, that they were something outside of a freaking barber, man. Don't we remember who y'all were. We remember who y'all were, bro. We remember that the reason y'all became barbers, man, is because y'all didn't go to college, probably dropped out of high school. Yeah, that's who y'all were. But y'all didn't get an education, man, so y'all decided, man, to cut hair for a living, bro. And TikTok got it in your head, and now y'all think, nah, $100 a head, this is different. No, they're barbers. They cut hair. What I do is different. No, it's not. You dropped out of high school, bro. You didn't go to college. You don't got an education, bro. You don't got a PhD in barbery. And you know what? I'm happy that people, man, are starting to sharpen up. Be like, I'm not gonna be spending $60 a week on a haircut, man. Like, are you crazy? Listen, no barber should make more than $30 a haircut, bro. Period. If people want to tip, let them tip. But no barber should ever charge more than $30, bro.
The state of the barber industry is really, really insane right now. And it is crazy for many different reasons. I can talk about this all day. And I know I'm bald head. I know I don't have hair in my head. But I used to have hair back in my head back in the day. And I'm going to tell you guys, there's many different reasons why people are fed up with the entire industry. For one, the first thing I'm going to say at the top is these insane prices. Number two is these appointments that just somehow came out of nowhere during the pandemic. And I know why they did it, because they were getting overloaded during the pandemic and there was not supposed to be that many people within some of these shops. And it's just crazy. There's so many different things. But of course, just like any other industry, once the prices go up, they're not going to come back down. And right now we are seeing so many places. There is reportedly, they're losing millions of dollars in the industry right now as we speak. So many people learn how to cut their own hair. So many people learning to just not go to the barbershop as often. However, when we talk about it, you're seeing drastic, quick price increases. Like I just said, right, the sticker shot. You're also seeing declining loyalty, operating costs going up, rising inflation, double boot the rent, right? Because also when you talk about, being a barber in some of these different shops, you also have to rent your own chair, if that makes sense. So you have to pay the owner and the owner is experiencing higher costs because they got higher taxes, maybe their mortgage is maybe higher or whatever. Like, there's many different links, and I'm not saying that every barbershop is dealing like this. I'm also not saying that every barbershop is charging $100 for a haircut, but this is why people are fed up. I'm just saying, on the case-by-case basis, it totally depends on the situation.
Trust me.
So let me give y'all some advice on that.
The library will close in 20 minutes.
Okay, this person is really talking about variance. He's giving a lot of data statistics, but that's on AI, and that's just that's just a gathering point or information. Okay, you're dealing with. I feel we got he separation. Let me give some clarity. You have supercuts. You got these franchises out there, all these type of entities that's out there. Great Clips, all these other brands, they cut hair too. So you got to understand, these people out there cutting hair, they're losing points like everybody else in the industry. But we have different models, you know. They have a different model versus an independent. They're independent, but independent mama and pop spot barbershops in the community. They're in the community, but they're more like in commercialized areas, and they're doing massive numbers, and the numbers can cut down because their price point went up. So that's the reason, some of the reason, but he hasn't included that. He just talking about giving stats on 7%. We lose 7% capacity, where there's a lot of shops that are losing revenue because of price point too, and also there's a lot of employment companies that's shutting down and not hiring anymore, laying off, and people can't afford to put haircut. Haircut is one of the last things you can do besides rent and utilities and take your personal overhead. And sometimes, like, people going bald head, people cutting their hair low, or their afros. You really don't need certain things, but when you get to the fades and all the other technical haircuts, you can more come in. And some people saving time going 2 or 3 months. And now a lot of people getting tapers for, instead of $50, we charge them tapers, but for $40, $30, they getting tapers. You know, just round and you go anywhere and get that done, the trim, and so that's a full haircut, but it's less. It's not a full fade around the head. So there's other reasons why, and he's hit on some good points, but the reality is, yeah, the price point is out rising, but if it's not rising for a person with the technical skills that are able to afford that. That's like going to a top doctor, from a low end doctor, from a average doctor. You want the one with the highest skill set. So when you get a professional with the highest skill set, doesn't matter what profession is. Barbering is a profession. You're dealing with the other side of the coin. Is now they're going to charge you for that price point. So there's still people making money, but when you have a lot of people come out of schools and jumping out with no skills, and they're trying to charge $40 and $50 for a haircut, and they're not at that skill level, that disappoints a lot of clients too. And that's where we're saying all the hustlers are coming in. But people like with the craftsmen, that's over a million of us out here. A lot of us got seasoned over 30 years, 25, 30, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, cutting hair still. Some still cutting in 60, 50 years. So you got to understand them. Their price point could be different. So there's a variation, and there's different reasons for it. Yes, there has been a shift in here, and a lot of stuff with the apartment barbers that came from COVID. When in a lot of states, people talk about the policies that the state put in, where you got to be 10 feet from each other. Then when from different reasons, there's only so many people in the shop. Then the states was changing the policies, so they brought a lot of barbers that came in from schools to became apartment barbers. That's all they knew. They came out of school, taught how to be apartment because of the state policies during COVID and the pandemic. So that's another error. And then they charging $40 a price when they haven't even got the skill set to be charging $40 a price. They haven't been in a barbershop long. They haven't been under a master barber that long. They went to school, took the test, passed the test, professional test, got their license, and now they out in the field in the pandemic era. So a pandemic era, them 4 or 5 years produced a lot of barbers and a lot of people that did things online. So without further ado, you got to take all of them in consideration too. Don't just look at that craft from one direction, look from multiple directions. So let's go on to the next young man.
I know it's a bunch of stuff that's going on in the world, but we got to draw some attention to this right here. 2026, we need to boycott all barbershops. I think I speak for all men when I say this. This shit just got out of hand. Trying to find a good barber now, that's just ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you where it went left. First off, when the barbers started getting exotic, talking about something you got to make appointments through the apps. What the f*** I look like making an appointment to see another man? Let's start there. Then, even when it comes to the haircuts, it became not even about the hair. When the barber started adding all the extra fancy smashy shit up there, wanting to pull out hot towels and shit and all this, that, y'all getting fake beards and all this shit like that, it just got too confusing. Another thing that messed it up, when it comes to these new age barbers, these really don't want to cut hair. That's just it with it, but I think these doing that just like, they be like the barber and be like the fifth thing. It be at the bottom of their to-do list, bro. Being a barber is a good trade. That should be your occupation. Yes. You should not have to make an appointment to come see you because you need to be in that damn shop.
Now, I'm going to pause at that point. Yes, you shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be a mandatory thing to make an appointment or, call. It shouldn't be mandatory. However, it should be highly encouraged because when you go in and somebody's already got an appointment ahead of you because people got things to do. I remember when I used to go to the barbershop and you used to have to sit in there and wait for hours on end because there was a long line. So there's a certain convenience factor to it. I'm not going to make it seem like appointments are the worst thing in the world, but there's also another layer of, hey, if I walk into the barbershop and there's nobody in there, I shouldn't have to get an appointment. That's basically what he's talking about.
All right, but you get these new age barbers, these want to be out here, they want to cut a little hair, sell puppies, they want to have t-shirts, they want to make websites, they want to rap, they want to trap, they want to do everything but line up, and that don't make no sense. So you know what, putting the ball in our court, I think, fellas, we need to come together in 2026 and boycott these. Now I bet you that's gonna get sick.
Please, guys, do not boycott our craft. We need, it's our livelihood. We do a lot of things in the community as professional barbers. I'm requesting do not listen to this. The young man got a lot of positive points on there, and I want to explain one major one. Okay, let me give you a separation between how it used to be before COVID and COVID changed a lot of things. Like I said, people were graduating in school. They still was going to school. So what happened was this. During COVID, before COVID, in the barbershops, you had mostly people that was walk-in barbers, just come into a barbershop and get a haircut. But also, as barbers got seasoned, the manager, the owner, usually become appointment-only barbers, or they maintain the shop because they're overseeing the shop. But they had their own clientele. But then you also had, as barbers got skillful that was in the shop, before they went out and opened up their shop, there was craftsmen. They would work and build their clientele base up and get skillful and then get the skills up to the highest level. And they turn into apartment barbers because they're about to get ready to go on their journey as a craftsman into another part of the community and open up their own shop. So they was locking in their clientele base to sustain what they can do above and beyond. This was the process of becoming one of the major processes becoming an apartment barber. But that barber stayed in the shop. That apartment barber stayed in the shop. So always the owner would ask or the manager asks you, hey, would you be doing extra walk-ins above and beyond if we needed you in the shop? Because we don't want, as the barbershop itself, as an entity itself, outside of the barber, you want new walk-ins come in, they need a haircut. We want them to come back to the barbershop. Maybe another barber can't get them. You can cut them right now this time, and then you come back and you say, hey man, we got 8 barbers here. I'm an apartment barber. You could talk to another one of the barbers. Everybody here good. And you can establish, so we always got to have an apartment barber, but that apartment barber was always in the shop. Today, they, like you said, they got websites, they got all this stuff, they got all kind of things. I ain't gonna name some of them off, but where you can come in and set apartments. What they call them, what I see a lot of young people call them, they call them Hollywood barbers. And so, hey, if that's what you're, a Hollywood barber, be a Hollywood barber. But we're not gonna hate, but that's not the craft. So I just want to tell this young man and tell the public, this is not the craft. This is not craftsmen. We do, but that's where originally the apartment barbers, they had to be in the shop. During the pandemic, before the pandemic, and after the pandemic. But during that process, the new generation of barbers came out, and the new wave of barbers came out, and they started changing due to the policies. But still, traditional barbers, we still operate that same way. You got to reach out and find a barber, like you go try to find a doctor, nurse, or lawyer for to support you. If you're looking to get a good barber, you got to research it. You got to do your due diligence, which most people never had to before. Now they got to now.
Situated, and the prices gonna go down too. Cause that's another thing. Whichever rapper it was that started that whole $100 lineup, you f***ed it up for everybody. Cause haircuts used to be $15, then they upped it to $25, then $35, then $45, then $50. I got a homeboy that stay in Connecticut right now, pay $80 to get his haircut. You think I'm finna pay $80 to get my damn haircut? Hell no. If I pay $80, my barber better give me a pack of woods and a 3-5 while I'm in the chair.
Yeah, and the reason the prices went up, it's not because of, rap. I don't think it's because of rappers. I could be completely wrong and misinformed or whatever the case is, but it was solely during the pandemic. If y'all remember during COVID, there was so much demand for a haircut. Like barbershops were shutting down all over the place, but you also barbers needed to make money too. So the little appointments that they had, they needed to capitalize as much as they could. So it was more in demand at that point. So of course they raised the prices. And of course, like I said early in the video, once these prices go up, they are not coming down whatsoever.
When did barbers become so arrogant? What point did we as a society decide that haircuts were so important that they needed an appointment? No, I'm sorry. Your doctor or your dentist needs an appointment, not your fucking barber. I'm in the real estate development world, so I thought arrogance was rampant in my world. Contractors, real estate developers, real estate brokers, those are some arrogant motherfuckers. But barbers these days, my goodness, are you guys on a high horse. They love if you call them and ask if they take walk-ins. They love to say the phrase, oh, we're appointment only. It's not that serious, and you're not that important. And you actually give a pretty shitty haircut most of the time. And by the way, stop fucking talking to me. Just cut my damn hair, bro. It'll take you 10 minutes, 15 minutes max, instead of the hour it's going to take because you want to talk to me about the Celtics, about your ex-girlfriend, about your divorce. I don't give a shit. And half the time, the barbershop's empty. Half the time, there's nobody doing anything. Half the time, there's nobody there. But you guys want to say your appointment only? Take the fucking walk-in, bro. Not to mention, you want to charge $50 to $75 to fucking cut hair.
I gotta stop him there. I get what he's saying, and he's probably a very busy man. And of course, as a barber, you gotta read the room sometimes. However, I'm gonna be honest. Let's call it what it is. As a man, and when you're in the barbershop, those are some of the best conversations, the best times that you have in life. Those are memories that you have with, people that you might know the person. I know you know your barber, but you might know the person beside you. You might not, and those are the times where you look back and you're like, oh, it's laughing. It's a time where you're getting away from life and you're just getting your hair cut. You get up and yes, there is a time and a place for everything. I'm not saying that you're supposed to be in there have a good time and laughing the whole time, but I'm just saying, yes, I'm not about to make it seem like it's got to be strict and only for business and only haircuts and all these different things. No, I get what he's saying though, 100%. It is becoming way too strict in terms of the appointments. And when we talk about the barber industry, they are currently claiming that $412 million have been lost to the industry. Now, the validity of this, I don't necessarily know. This is what many reports are saying in terms of what the barber industry is losing at this point, which is a lot of money. The people who are charging a lot of money, hundreds of dollars, there is an actual industry for that. The celebrities, the big businessmen, the people who actually can afford it, but the people who are just doing regular haircuts, like, come on, guys, like, you got to read the audience and you got to read the room. It's my point.
Yeah, and these two guys have good points, and they don't look at our craft as levels. There's levels to this. There's barbers that's been cutting good 30, 40 years, and they got skill sets out the yin yang, and they are able to really price point their price the right way with the quality of the service they render to the customer. So we're selling. We're in the service industry. We're selling the service, not a product. Our product is the haircut. And so if you can sell a quality, but now with stuff today, they got all kind of stuff. You can sell products. You can sell units. Where you go on ball, you can do that. You can upsell many things. So there's people making a lot of money and they got a supply and they got a clientele for that. So their numbers going to look different from a standard barber that's doing general haircut. But if you're doing like, you're adding new hair on, you're doing just tapering, you're doing facials, you're doing a lot of other items that you could add on, then your price point could go up for a haircut because you're offering a service package, not just a haircut. So, but that's a business model you got to define in the beginning. You got to have it on your price list, and you got to offer that. So that's where people make them $100, $90, and $200. They don't talk about that. Oh, you're not a haircut, but you didn't tell them you got to face it with the haircut.
The library will be closing in 5
If your barber is charging you 50, 60, even $70 in 2025, and he's a top-notch barber, he's really looking out for you. Because you do not understand the amount of attention to detail, the skill, the judgment, the 10,000 hours it takes to become a master barber that go into cutting that hair in a 30 to 45 minute window and being perfect with it. That is just like Anthony Edwards going out there and scoring 45 points night after night after night, going 80% from the three-point line, when the game's on the line, hitting every free throw and not fouling out. When you're a barber, you cannot mess up. Because if I mess up on that line, that client's never coming back. If I take too much off the top, that hair is just not going to grow back immediately. So paying $70, $80, it's a lick. Because if you go to a doctor, the doctors with the most skill in the world, the most skilled technicians in their field, they're charging you $1,000 per session.
But barbers are not doctors. Barbers are not NBA players. Barbers are not, any of these fields that he's he's comparing it to. I get what he's saying. He has a great point, and he's like, spot on with the analogies. But barbers are not those things. So when you're talking about, paying a barber, making it mandatory to pay them $100, that is different. I think this is the issue. This is the issue, and I think until we as a culture, I'm not just saying black culture, I'm saying culture as a general. If we get better at tipping our barbers, tipping our waiters, tipping people in general, and I'm not saying you gotta tip them $100, but if we just be better at tipping, I think that would fix the whole industry, because people don't tip. Like when you get a barber and they are paying and charging $20, and yes, the cost of living goes up, the inflation goes up, everything gets more expensive. So naturally, when we talk about paying $35 or $40, $25 or $35 for a haircut, yes, that is on the cheaper end, but that barber still is dealing with inflation just like we are dealing with inflation. So I think naturally they're going to make their prices high. I think that's just a natural situation. But like I said, if we were better with tipping, I'm just saying people as a whole, people, just your American people, I'm not saying you got to tip them $50, $100, but if you gave them a $10 tip, $20 tip.
Let me explain something to you. That's a nice suggestion as a customer. But this is a barber here. He said I think he's a barber himself. He gives me I get a little barber vibes from him. He was speaking some truth. But see, this is really different. This is a barber. This is a client. Watch this. Let me make sure I have this right so I can see. Let me get this point. Yeah, this one. This is a barber. This one I'm pointing right here. This is where I'm pointing to. Look where I'm pointing to. I'm trying to get this camera right so you see. This is a barber. Let's go this other way. This is a barber right here. This guy's a barber. That's where I'm pointing to. That's a barber. This is a customer on my side above me. He's a customer. You have two different perspectives. That's why I like this. And let me correct you on one guy. He didn't know because he's not a barber. Some of the first doctors that was in this field in doctoring medicine was barber surgeons. We were doctors. We are craftsmen. We are professionals. England took that title away from us. If you look at the old barber poles, used to have wings like medical wing doctors. They used to have it on top of the barber poles. And what that insinuates, when battles was going in the field, the barber surgeons, we was battlefield surgeons. We could call us barber surgeons. We would go out in the field and we do bloodletting, we amputations. We did a lot of things. We was the first doctors, bro. We're some of the first doctors. That's what you don't really realize, the history of barbering. And the red, white, and blue we have, the blue represent the veins, the red represent the blood, and the white represent bandages. Let me give you some symbolic behind that, behind our senior pole, the barber pole. And we should carry that with the bucket and our stuff in there when we had bloodletting. And they used to protect and the angel wings used to insinuate when they saw us on the field to protect us. So these are the things that you don't know. So we were doctors first, which was called barber surgeon. Look it up, Google it, word. And this is what you don't know. And our field is very deep and very history. So don't trip on where we come from. We have known in the high end technical barbers, they can't acquire that much revenue for their services. So I appreciate the tip, but I want to make some clarification. I'm in with this. I hope I brought some clarification to the our field. I have a lot to say. I can tell you about our history, our skills, our professionalism, everything, barber psychology, barber identity, barber leadership. There's so much in our craft that you don't know. So without further ado, have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.